Association. And here's some stories. I had a relative who died on the operating table from diabetes. So when this happens to you, it's like, this is the really tough stuff. Running the marathon's nothing. That's a piece of cake. That's not that hard.
And you're here today, the night before the Tommy Hart Superhero 5K run, which, yep. And what does Tommy Hart mean to you, though, personally?
I just like that he was a guy who kind of took the sport and explored it, and he didn't let it stop him. And he saw the country. He had a lot of fun, because you do have fun in the sport. Nobody lives life so good as we're kind of crazed. We're kind of crazed, and we really are, because we are truly going for it.
So Tommy Hart, in a sense,
the nitty-gritty of life.
Yep.
The nitty-gritty.
I would say Tommy Hart almost is you in a sense too. You
Yeah,
both
we're similar. We're like this.
Yeah.
But all runners are. That's why we all get along. Road races, you don't see people in fights. You don't have any energy. No, we all get along great. And at the end of the race, if you're in a race and you're really kind of fighting it out, trying to compete with someone, they beat you, you got to shake hands. You shake hands. It's just part of our sport. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Our sport is priceless. You can't put money on it for what it means. What Tommy Hart did, with his van and the message he tried to send, to the young people, be an athlete. Everyone, I think we should all be athletes. Yes. For our own heart and health and how we live, and to get the most out of life. And I think that's what Bill Welsh has done, and Mike Brennan, Judge Brennan, and Bill Jankunas, Jeff Benjamin, and our good friend Tom Fleming.
Jeff Benjamin is just an amazing person. I had the pleasure of meeting him a few years ago. And you know what? And Jeff actually has a proclamation here. Jeff, who's the proclamation from, and what is it for?
Bill, this is from Staten Island's greatest running elected official, Michael Cusick, who ran for Monsignor Farrell and then later competed for Villanova University. He will be at the race tomorrow.
Okay.
But before the race, he asked if I could stop by and present you with this proclamation.
Thank you, Jeff.
From Assemblyman Cusick and the State Assembly of New York. It has all your accolades on it, all your accomplishments.
Pretty nice.
So congratulations.
Thank you, Jeff.
King of the roads, Bill Rodgers.
King of the roads.
Not only that, you're the king of the roads, but you're the king of people's hearts. You're the
Have fun.
You are the most modest, great human being.
His enthusiasm is just unreal.
I'm pretty wired.
Unreal. So
You make good friends in this sport.
big time.
We're
big
good friends.
time. Big
Friends
time.
forever.
Big
Friends
time.
forever.
Big time. So thank you.
And Bill, just for some final comments, on all the racing and of all the accomplishments you've had in your life, especially being inducted into 2 Hall of Fames, the National Long Distance Hall of Fame and the National Track and Field, along with being named Track and Field News #1 marathoner in the world in 3 different times in the 70s.
I was pretty psyched, to be inducted into both of those halls of fame. USA Track and Field Hall of Fame is big. Carl Lewis is in there.
Jesse
Owens, all the great champions going back over 100 years. Track and field in America, we have the best track athletes in the world. So I was lucky to get in there. It's an honor, but I think in the end, it all boils down to, someone supported someone like a Carl Lewis, His family was into track and field and everything, and really helped him out, and his sister, Carol, and I remember her and everything, and so it's the support you get, and so the people that you see in the Olympic Games are the ones that were lucky. They had coaches in high school and college, but I think we're all lucky if you can go to your local running store, or if you don't like running, maybe you get a bike and you're out on your bike and you're enjoying the beauty of outdoors. Then you got it made. That's all you need.
Well, Bill, any final words you would like to leave any person who's ever wanted to do running or at all and follow what you've done? What would you say?
I would say find the shoes that you really love, from your favorite running store. Find the shoes that fit the best, because your shoes are key, and run on dirt and grass when you can. Run with your bottle of water, or bring Gatorade with you, whatever you like, and just have fun with it. If you have fun with it and join a running club, then you really got it made. Because then you're going to keep going. You're going to be like Bill Welsh, who's 87 years old. You know,
I couldn't believe what he told me earlier, how many marathons the guy ran.
and you just didn't see that too much. But more and more people are running their whole lifetimes, or they're swimming, or they're on bikes, and walking, because Americans want to keep their health. I think that's what we're seeing today. And the new track that was built here, I think, is a sign of that. A sign that these kind of sports, these are the Olympic sports that have so much power. Basketball I would include as well, because it's cardio is too. These kinds of sports they reach everywhere,
Exactly. Well, Mr. William Henry Rodgers, or Bill Rodgers as you're known throughout the whole world, it is an honor. It was a pleasure getting to meet you and talk to you. You are just outstanding, and I enjoyed every single minute of listening to you.
Thank you a lot. Thanks for having me on your show.
No problem. And if you ever are in the Staten Island area, please, I would love to have you on again.
Probably with Jeff Benjamin.
Yes.
He's my good friend.
Well,
he leads the way.
Definitely. For all the hardworking men and women at CTV, for Mr. Terry Converse behind the camera and doing everything he does extraordinary, I'm your host, Eric Rosen, and this has been an episode of Eric's View, live here at the Hilton Garden with my good friend and the Rocky Balboa, the number one, the greatest ever marathon running, Mr. Bill Rodgers. Good night, peace and love, Staten Island.
But for many in the race, this is a very face much of the way. Seiko has been dogging Rodgers' heels, and Bill knows he's got to put some distance between he and Seiko, who's a very strong finisher. We're about to go up the third hill. You get an idea of the crowds here despite the rain. We're on fabled Heartbreak Hill, a term that was coined by Jerry Nason, former sports editor of the Globe, in 1936. When Tarzan Brown, a winner in 1936, broke Johnny Kelly's heart on this hill, and he termed it Heartbreak Hill. You're looking at Toshishiko Seiko and Bill Rodgers. Rodgers is trying desperately to put some distance between he and Seiko. He's turned around twice in the last mile to try and check his position. Rodgers is running these hills seemingly as hard as he did last year when he broke the record through the Newton Hills by 21 seconds. Rodgers' time through these hills, he's averaging, despite the hills, about a 5:14 mile pace. Seiko seems to be struggling. He thought Heartbreak looked like a bigger hill than he had tackled before. Both of these runners have about 100 yards on Gary Bjorklund. When we reach the top of Heartbreak Hill, we'll have about 6.3 miles left in this race. It's come down to the two co-favorites, Toshishiko Seiko of Japan, the winner of the Fukuoka Marathon, and a man who defeated Bill Rodgers there, and our own from the Greater Boston Track Club, Bill Rodgers, the #1 world road racer in 1977, and by most people's standards, 1978. We're here at the top of Heartbreak Hill. Rodgers on the hill opened up about 15 yards. Place and last seen Gary Bjorklund about 250 yards behind Seiko as we come down the last stretch run of Beacon Street to the Prudential Center. And here comes Bill Rodgers down the last 600 yards. He has run the Newton Hills and literally flown down the last 4.5 miles of Beacon Street faster than anyone in history. At Coolidge Corner, with only 2 miles to go, he was only 2 seconds off his own record at that station. He is on his way to averaging a 4:56 mile average for 26 miles. Bill Rodgers, 300 yards away from being the champion over one of the best marathon fields ever assembled in history. Here's the motor. Here's the motorcycle. Ladies and gentlemen, in ring row. Bring your third Boston Marathon victory from Melrose, Massachusetts, from the Greater Boston Track Club, the king, the greatest long-distance runner in the history of the world, the greatest runner in the world today, wearing #1. He is #1. Waving in the crowd, ladies and gentlemen, the best at #1.
1978 Fukuoka winner, the 1978 world champion from Japan. This is Toshihiko Seiko. Bill Rodgers stepped up to receive the laurel wreath, to receive an embrace from Will Clooney, the man who is this marathon. Bill will receive the laurel wreath from Mayor Kenneth White of the city of Austin. He'll receive a diamond medallion from Governor Edward King of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Ladies and gentlemen, you have standing before you the greatest long-distance runner there is in the world.
We ran here years ago, back in the 60s, that we're still running. And I just think we're lucky in a way. We got a lot from this sport.
Amby was the first who took the lead on a national scale with his win at Boston.
Sure.
And I think that Bill and I both said, well, if he did it, then maybe we've got a chance at some point.
You know, New England is the birthplace of marathoning and road racing in America.
It is.
Really, in a certain way, with Boston Marathon. Now it's a global sport, and it's just fun.
I don't know of any other sport that allows individuals to improve the quality of their life as running does. It gives people a better attitude after every run. You have more energy after you run. It turns on brain circuits that allow this to happen. We recognized early the brain benefits that are now well documented, but who would have thought
They didn't
that
help
others
me.
would discover
They
it?
didn't help me. It is great to be back.
It really is.
Fantastic day for it today, just perfect.
It's about friendships as far as I'm
true.
concerned.
Yeah.
It's true.
And, to have you guys as friends is just a treasure.
Yeah.
I remember going down to the little dining room. We would do a long run, 25-mile run, and then we would go down there, and Amby ate more than a 300-pound linebacker in the NFL. You have this big spread food out there, you know. And we'd always get our milkshakes after our long runs and stuff like that, you know. I remember that, and but also I just remember the beauty of the college and the great, you know, students and professors were all first rate.
Even then, Wesleyan was a place that encouraged diversity and encouraged each of us to express ourselves in our own special ways. Running through the university a couple times, it it never looked so good. You would think it would look old at this point, but everything just looked fresh and great shape.
It's in a way, it's sort of like bigger and newer, but you remember some of the old buildings, but it's fun for us as runners to come back to Wesleyan because in a way it was our start. To me, running is the best sport in the world, you know, and we all feel that way.
And we all go around the world and see this every weekend where we go someplace. But we don't come to Middletown and see it here in Middletown where we used to remember nobody else running. So to see it in Middletown was kind of especially exciting. And it is just incredible that the three of us were here at Wesleyan at the same time, three who, humbly enough, had a real influence on the running that has happened throughout the U.S. and the world since our days. And each, in a slightly different way, contributed to it. But the sum of the three parts was greater than the whole, and it just launched a lot of running.
Thank you very much, Ken. Great to be back at Wesleyan and here in Middletown.